to the lecture on accessing attributes. In this lecture, we'll see how we can access columns on a data frame and indexes on a series. Let's start by creating a series object, and we'll store it in a variable called ss. So pd.series, and then we'll pass a list of numbers, let's say 1 2 3, and then let's pass the index argument, and we'll set it to be equal to list ABC. So this is another way of creating a series using a list and then passing ABC. Okay, if we call our series object SS, we have our series ABC index and then values 1 2 and 3. And in the previous lecture we have created a data frame. Let's make a copy of that data frame by using the copy method. So we can say data frame dot copy, and let's save this in another variable. Let's say data frame 1, and we'll set that to be equal to data frame dot copy. Okay, so here we have our series object. We can directly access what the value at index C is by doing the following. So we can say our series object dot C. So C is the index. We can simply call that index method on our series, and that will give us the value 3. Similarly, we can access the value at index A. So our series object dot A, that will give us 1. Okay, now let's access a specific column in our data frame object. So we have our data frame 1. Let's say we want to grab column C. How can we do that? So it's simple. All we gotta do is data frame 1 dot call the column on our data frame object. So dot column C, and run it. Now we get the values for each index of our column C. Okay, so here we saw that we could grab the value for any of this index in our series object. We can also modify an existing element. For instance, let's say we want to change the value at index A from 1 to, let's say, 25. How can we do that? So we can say ss.a, and we can set it to be equal to 25. Now if I call my series object, we have the new value at index A to be 25. Before it was 1, now it's 25. And we can do the same thing for our data frame object. So if I call my data frame 1, we have columns A, B, C, and D. Let's say I want to change the value of column B at each of my indexes. Let's say I want to change it to length of my index. So here it's index 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. Let's say I want to change the value of column B to its corresponding index. Let's see how to do that. So for that, we'll use the range method. So we'll say range, and then we'll pass length of our data frame 1 object dot index. Okay, we can simply say that range, and then so ranges, the range will be length of this data frame 1 object dot index, so 0 1 2 3 and so on up to 9, and then we'll pass that as a list. Okay, then we'll set that to be equal to our data frame 1 object dot column B. Okay, let's run it, and if we call our data frame 1 object, we see that column B has new values for each of the index. So now it's 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. And we can also use a dictionary to change or modify an existing element. Let's look at another example. So I'll create a new data frame, pd.dataframe, and let's pass a dictionary for this. Let's say A, and then for values, let's pass a list containing the elements 1, 2, and 3, and let's have another key and value combo, B, and then for values, let's say 3, 4, and 5. Let's save this in a variable called AB. So if we call our AB object, we have a data frame with 2 columns, AB, and 3 rows. So what if we want to change the values for index 1, both the A and B values at index 1? Let's say I want to change it from 2 to, let's say, 22, and from 4 to 44. How can we do that? By using a dictionary. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. First, we need to access this row, which is index 1. So we have our data frame object. We'll use the ILAC method for this, that ILAC, and then we'll access the second row, which is index 1, index 0, index 1, and then we'll set that to be equal to, so we'll create a dictionary with our new element. So we will change A to 22 and B to, let's say, 44. Run it, and if we call our data frame object, we see that the elements are changed. So this is what I wanted to cover in this lecture. We saw how we can access attributes like indexes in series objects and columns in data frames. In the next lecture, we'll look at slicing. Thank you, everyone.